practice right now. And don't forget, please leave a comment. It's really nice to hear from folks. So, okay, so here's the practice. Mountain pose. Mountain pose. Everybody knows mountain pose, right? And you can do all sorts of tweaky things with your mountain pose in terms of your alignment, which is super useful. But what about when you start using your breath? What happens? So from seated or from standing, think about your rib cage like a hot air balloon. And it is you're going to use your inhale to lift that hot air balloon up out of your hips. Now your spine is like the tether that keeps the air balloon grounded to the earth, right? So when you exhale, you're going to use a little bit of contraction in the lower belly to support the exhale. And the shoulders rest a little bit, but no kind of blah, right? And so we're going to use structural breath, and then we're going to just manipulate that breath a little bit. Okay, so as you inhale, let your arms start to float out to the side because the breath is lifting them. Come up on your toes if you like you're floating like a balloon. When you exhale, let your heels come back down, engage your belly a bit. Okay, try that again. And next time you try it, maybe you can let your arms go up higher, maybe to shoulder height. If you're sitting down, obviously you just don't do the feet part of this, right? But you want to use the breath to lengthen your spine, maybe a little bit higher this time. Let your arms be really fluid, like they're just floating on the currents. Okay, now this time, just take a free breath. This time when we do it, we're going to pause the top of the inhale for 1, maybe 2 counts. That's it. Just a really little pause, okay? So inhale, wherever you go is fine. And you're just going to pause there for a moment and then exhale down. You know how when you're making a bed and you take the sheet and you flip it up in the air and it's a little pause at the top before it floats down? It's like that, okay? Try it again. Let's just do 2 more of these. Inhale, floating up. Good. Last time. Pause. Okay, now tune in. How do you feel? You feel a little bit of that kind of energy rising in your system? I want to differentiate because that is not stimulation. Stimulation would be like drinking coffee and then you're like, you know how that goes, right? That is what the yogis would call, what Ayurveda calls brahmana, which is like soup. It's like gives you a little nourishment. You feel like, I can go on with my day, I can move forward. It's much healthier to have a nice hearty bowl of soup than it is to drink a pot of coffee in terms of your nervous system, because you're not blowing your gaskets out, you're nourishing the nervous system with it, particularly with those very short holds at the top of the inhale, which actually what they do is cause a shift in the balance of oxygen and carbon dioxide, and they make the blood vessels dilate. So it helps the parasympathetic nervous system kick in. So if you feel relaxed after doing that, good. If you feel sleepy, it probably means that you need sleep, right? And if you feel a little bit like, kind of alert and awake and move on with my day, that's what we're going for. Sometimes these practices and the breath helps to remove the veils of illusion, so that we get into like, this is how I feel, right? It's all about that understanding of who we are and how important that is for our mental health, how important that is for our life in general, right? So I want to thank you so much for being with me today. I'm trying to get back to my regular philosophy talks. It's just I moved about 6 weeks ago, and it is 6 weeks now. I moved about 6 weeks ago, and I still haven't kind of gotten into a groove with it, but I'll get there eventually. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you next week.